The explorer thought that he must get at least one useful map or he would surely die. The girl had already received at least one legendary card, even a heroic card would be enough. The elf stated that the girl was not lucky today. The merchant said that Lady Ivanova still had 4,000 points. Did she want to buy a special potion? The Hero King said that the sales time was over. The goblin asked again if the hero wanted to buy a deck of cards. The merchant opened the card deck box and mentioned the sudden and unexpected death, and the fact that previous customers had spent a lot of money and failed. The elf added that all of this combined increased the likelihood that a legendary card would appear soon. The young man yawned and said that he would not participate in that foolishness and would not waste his achievements on useless things. Ivanova couldn't stand it anymore and shouted, driving the shop assistant and Kang Yusung away. She spoke in her native language in an incomprehensible manner. The young man agreed and said that Ivanova was right in cursing the traveling merchant, but the merchant's words sounded convincing and he said he would buy one. The system deducted 10,000 achievement points from the young man's account. The young man received an ordinary skill card, the Ice Arrow. The man sighed and said that it was still better than useless ordinary skills. The effect of the Ice Arrow was that it could turn the cold atmosphere into arrows. Ivanova approached Kang Yusung and told him not to say another word. Now it was his turn to listen. The traveling merchant realized that the shop would no longer employ him, said goodbye, and mentioned that he would go elsewhere. The armed robots continued their movements to execute the secret protocol. Their progress was marked by consistency and teamwork. The robots received a new mission to destroy the witnesses. The witnesses were Kang Yusung and Ivanova. The young man decided not to hide and to fight the invaders and also increase his rank. The young man took the blows, but the robots were indestructible. He thought that these enemies had many resources. The man thought that he should buy shares in a pharmaceutical company when he got home because it would take a long time to recover. The young man had used his resources to create ice crystals that could distract the enemies. This was supposed to help him in the fight against the robots. The magical ice crystals successfully suppressed the combat power of the armed androids, which were then effectively disabled. The system reported that our hero had cleared the zombie apocalypse tower. A random gear coupon would be given as a reward for the clearance. The system informed that as a reward for being the surviving winner, the young man could take a skill card from the losing players. Kang Yusung thought that he didn't even need to look when the tower was cleared and the players were in their own world. The losers also returned, including Ivanova and her assistants. When they returned, the young man told the assistants and thought that 2 of them had died by the claws of his dark creature and the other 2 were in so much pain that they couldn't escape. The female explorer and her assistants were morally crushed and didn't know what to do next. The young man, while saying goodbye, said that everyone had done a good job today and all got what they deserved. Lady Ivanova couldn't understand how this could happen. They had everything under control. It turned out that Kang Yusung had thwarted all their plans. Kang Yusung asked if they really wanted to be caught. For that, they just needed to call the police and turn themselves in at the nearest police station. It wasn't his concern anymore, he had done his part. He wondered if he would just leave them here and walk away. He had never been treated like that before. The young man suggested the girl tell the superiors how great the king was as a hero and that it was time they stopped doing what they didn't know how to do. The young man said he wouldn't destroy them, the dead don't speak, and he needed someone to provide information. The caller on the phone asked the young man why he let them live. The young man replied that it was compensation for their legendary skills and to allow him to see what it felt like to die if the right card didn't appear. The caller was angry and shouted why he let those who attacked him secretly go unscathed. Mr. Kang asked who the caller thought he was. He wasn't a psychopathic killer. He asked him to calm down and behave. The young man's caller was Mr. Park, who noted that the young man knew how to speak and was very polite. Mr. Park asked why the criminals came in the first place. The young man suggested that the criminals came to destroy him from the start. Mr. Park said he was very close to the young man despite being a bad thug. Kang Yusung said that Mr. Park's internet cafe survived only thanks to him. Mr. Park told the young man to be careful on his way home and not to worry. The young man thanked the caller for his work and sensitivity, saying that they worked like a real team. Foreign players in the tower received various names. The same happened here. Weapons were indicators of military power. Unbalanced techniques directly became heroes. The players involved were not just heroes but war heroes. Take Natasha Ivanova, for example. There were people who killed the enemies of their country without hesitation. The young man thought everyone wanted him to be a hero too. He didn't see the point. He thought there was no concept of a hero in today's world. However, on the streets, he was recognized and called a hero by the king. The young man quickly covered his head with a hood upon hearing comments from passers-by. He didn't like being recognized. He thought he wasn't careful this morning. The passers-by talked among themselves. A young man said he shouldn't point at the hero with his finger. After all, he was a thug. The girl disagreed, saying it was just an image. In reality, he was a very honorable man, but the journalists didn't forgive him. The passersby turned and walked away, saying that whatever happened, this character was the most active every season. Without him, this world would have ceased to exist in the second season. They also said the hero secretly donated the profits from his t-shirt sales to charity. The passersby observed that the young man did all this for show. Regarding the t-shirts, the legendary ones would be out soon. After all, this kid wanted to make more money. The tower hung in the sky above. Besides that, there were no signs of trouble. The young man failed again in his attempt to escape unnoticed by the annoying reporters. The irritating reporters saw the king of heroes and chased him. The kid thought he had been caught before reaching home. The young man decided that the best way out for him now was to visit the tower. He would go there anyway. The Tower of Swords and Magic, level CCO, aimed to complete the story in the tower. The visitors said the goddess watched over them, and the sacred ceremony to summon the warrior succeeded. The young man from the tower bowed before the girl and thought she was a saint. The girl said she was happy to meet him. The young man answered her prayers and said he was a warrior from another world. The girl extended her hand to the young man and introduced herself as Alicia, the 17th saint of the Celestino kingdom. Kang Yusung greeted, smiled, and said it was obvious. The young man introduced himself and said he was a hero who saved the world quickly and without overlap. Everything was calculated and ran like Swiss clockwork. The young man asked how he could be useful to Saint Alicia. The girl said that before she could answer that question, she needed to explain the situation on the continent of Philia. The young man stepped forward and suggested that there might be an issue involving some kind of confrontation between holy beings and demons. Saint Alicia smiled and said that the brave warrior was very clever. The girl added that the young man should know that holy beings and demons once lived here, which in turn led to a war between light and darkness. The girl continued her story for 30 minutes. Half an hour later, the young man sat with his eyes closed. What went in one ear came out the other. The young man asked if it was time to save the world from the demon attack. The girl was surprised by her conversation partner's impatience, saying that she had just begun telling her story and returned to talking about the inhabitants of Celestina. This time, Saint Alicia said that the young man had to undergo a test. The young man, bored with this monologue, turned and headed for the exit. Saint Alicia shouted after him, "Where is the brave warrior going?" The young man, without stopping, said that he was going to carry out his mission. The girl said that he didn't even know the conditions of the mission. Saint Alicia tried to grab the Hero King's hand. The young man asked Alicia if she herself knew the conditions. The girl said she did not. The young man replied, "Then there isn't much difference." Suddenly there was a loud explosion and flames appeared. Saint Alicia said that she had a vague suspicion that a demon had appeared in the temple. Alicia wondered how a demon could set foot in the Holy Land. The young man was not actually interested in that. He had problems to solve. The brave knights drew their weapons from their sheaths and shouted at the demon to retreat because this was no place for a creature like it. The knights tried to strike the demon with their weapons and internal energy, but their efforts were in vain. The knights thought, how could this be? The demon seemed invincible. At that moment, why did holy magic and sword aura not work on this demon? The demon just smiled mockingly and called it by name. The order was given for everyone to retreat immediately. There was a battle to be fought with this monster. Kang Yusung entered the center of the hall. Saint Alicia, protected by guards, told the young warrior that she was ready to support him. The young man activated his ice sword and said there was no need for help. It would be better if everyone moved to a safe distance. Saint Alicia shouted to the young man to be careful, hiding fearfully behind her guards. Saint Alicia thought that this young man was a true hero, putting himself in great danger for the sake of them all. The girl immediately knelt and began to pray, asking the goddess to grant them mercy. Everyone present knelt simultaneously and began asking the same of the goddess. Only the guards remained standing. Their service continued, and a very cold protective barrier formed around the worshippers. He held his head, and Alicia noticed and asked if he was hurt. The young man said his head was not okay, that the demon was sending him telepathic messages. The demon told him that they would soon arrive at the arch. Soon, the world full of light that they hated would be engulfed in darkness. The demon continued to teleport and said that the young man should get out of his way. Alicia looked at the young man and wondered how this could be, imagining how difficult it was for her protector. The Hero King said that they must not delay and asked where the arch was. The saint could not believe that the end of her world could be so close. The girl said she had an idea about the arch. The young men mounted their horses and prepared to test this assumption. The journey was not easy. Darky had been sitting comfortably in his master's lap. The young man asked if the cat was also bored. The cat mimicked the demon's growl very well, though it was not actually the demon's growling in the room but Darkish imitating the growling sound. The young man thought it would be a good idea to wait to use the shadow sword if he had to use it that way. Darkling should also save his thorns for now. Alicia asked if they should slow down a bit while they were riding. The young man said there was no need. He believed it would be more efficient to do everything his own way. After all, no one would say anything to the best player. That's how to use legendary abilities. Here, in the Adventurers Guild, everyone is welcome. The young man asked the merchant if he had something that would allow him to enter the labyrinth. The girl asked if he had an adventurer's license. She told him to wait, and after a moment, she gave him ticket number 216. The youth sat at a table and, while waiting, decided to drink hot chocolate. Alicia told her companion that the place called Garcia was a town with a labyrinth, in case anyone didn't know. This city maintains neutrality and is located between the sacred kingdom of Celestina and the Drago Empire. The city is built around an ancient underground labyrinth, which is a land of possibilities. Kang Yusung said it would be difficult to find a better place to hide the arch, an ancient weapon from the Celestina people. Number 216 was announced, and the youths paid attention. It was their number. The girl asked them to sign some documents. It was the rule. Alicia was willing to sign. Kang Yusung asked for a bit more time. The young man said that no one is responsible for deaths in the labyrinth. Even if bodies or property are found, they will belong to the city. Do I really have to agree to that to get a license? The girl said everyone is given the same chance to find great fortune in the labyrinth, but the adventure carries risks. She added that license applicants are fully autonomous in their decisions and responsible for them. The young man agreed to sign and said that this waiver clearly showed the value of life. The girl, after obtaining the signature, wished the adventurers good luck and sent them off with a smile. The system reported that the hero and his companion had entered the labyrinth. They faced difficulties and dangers on the first level. The young man announced that they were ready. Saint Alicia confirmed, and the monster rats ran towards our heroes. Silberin threatened and charged at the people. Kang Yusung raised his ice shield and blocked the leader of the rats from lunging and biting his neck. Alicia was not idle either. She used her inner energy to attack their opponents, and the fierce monsters shattered into pieces. The young man announced that the 5th level had begun. He noticed that they were descending at a surprising speed. The Hero King said, "This is all because the saint is an amazing fighter. Her blessing magic is very impressive." The girl felt flattered. Alicia realized that they were meeting adventurers everywhere, who held off the magical beasts attacking them, thus clearing a wider path. The girl said she was very grateful to them because now they were in a hurry. The young man thought this might be those people's home, so they were very happy that they left. Alicia said that if adventurers helped each other to fight, even demons wouldn't seem so scary. Kang Yusung said that Saint Alicia didn't need to worry too much while he was around. Now he would take her to the ancient weapon. Suddenly, a large man appeared in front of them and said that he welcomed the newcomers. The giant mentioned that the young men had not paid but dared to enter the labyrinth for personal matters. Saint Alicia asked whom they were dealing with. Were they really local gangsters? The young man replied that he did not know what these people were called in this world. But in all labyrinths, there were individuals like this, usually called bandits or adventurers. The bandit confirmed it, saying that was the case. If the young man knew so much about them, would he mind handing over everything he had? Saint Alicia, in her innocence, suggested discussing it and not making hasty decisions. The Hero King said that talking was good. Was Mr. Bandit ready to listen to his story? The young man closed his eyes, raised his hands, and began to tell a story. He said that in the beginning, there were celestial beings and demons. These demons would destroy the world. The young man said he was a warrior from another world and had come to save them. He continued that to do this, he needed to find an ancient weapon. The bandits did not understand what he was talking about. The Hero King said he was looking for this weapon with a girl. She was a highly respected saint from the Holy Kingdom of Celestia. The young man was polite and respectfully asked the honorable bandits to let them pass. The girl said this was necessary for the sake of world peace and asked them to do good. The bandits laughed and asked who he thought he was that the young man would be afraid. Kang Yusung realized that the young man was very polite and tried to avoid bloodshed, but now he would earn extra points and increase his rank. Kang Yusung drew his sword and moved as fast as lightning. Blood and various body parts of the bandits flew in all directions. Saint Alicia was very frightened. The villains were stunned. How dared this young man do this to them? He acted without a declaration of war, practically taking them by surprise. Suddenly, someone asked the young man on what grounds he touched their people. A shadow appeared in the corner, and from that shadow emerged a girl who said that the young man seemed much more capable than he looked. The girl appeared to be a warrior, her body covered with various wounds. Saint Alicia recognized this girl. Didn't she work for the Adventurer Guild, the one who gave them their license? Why was the guild conspiring with the bandits? So much injustice in this world. The young man thought that they put novice players in dangerous situations and forced them to count its monetary value. If players couldn't pay, their bodies were sold. Saint Alicia was very scared and didn't know what to do. The guild girl said that this saint was too naive. How was she going to become an adventurer? This was the city of Labyrinto. The red-haired conspirator drew her weapon and said she should have thought about her safety from the beginning. Kang Yusung, smiling as usual, said that competitors should be careful. The young man drew his victory sword and began to dominate the bandits involved in the battle. The young man drew his victory sword and started to defeat the bandits, stripping them. Darky appeared to help his master in the fight against the bandits. Saint Alicia curled up in the corner in fear. The Hero King told the girl that the corridor was already open, and she could follow him. When Saint Alicia regained her senses, the corridor had been cleared and there were no active opponents around. The young man lit a fire and said they would spend the night there. Tomorrow morning, they would continue their journey. The young man noticed that his friend seemed depressed after the last encounter with the bandits. "What happened?" he asked. The young man said, "I guess the girl is not used to facing the real world without her saint title." The girl remained silent and continued to pray. Alicia said that the world would soon be destroyed, but people were still fighting each other. Why is this happening? Alicia wondered if the young man was already used to it. What was going on in his mind? The young man said he wasn't sure what he was facing and recalled the words of the Academy president, who said that a changing world needed war heroes. Mr. Kang told his conversation partner that the world remained the same wherever he was. The girl turned slightly and said she was surprised by the young man's words. "Is it really like that all over the world, Sane?" Alicia asked, "What about Kang Yusung's hometown?" The young man replied that his city had experienced several crises. They didn't have someone like Saint Alicia who knew what to do and could stop the riots. The girl apologized. The young man said that initially, he felt uncomfortable talking about it, but now he was used to it. The young man said that at first, he reacted very strongly to the crises happening in his hometown, but one day he felt that everyone in his city only cared about themselves. Kang Yusung said that he didn't care, he wasn't like that, and that's why he became a participant in the game and a hero. The young people talked for a while about their lives and what they hadn't achieved. It was late afternoon when a vendor appeared in front of the young man and asked if he wanted to buy a card. The young man asked the fairy if she could first show the list of merchandise. He was tired of maps. The young man thought it was time to get ready, but there were still 2 more levels. A few days passed. Level 100. The demons asserted that they had to take the bow and all the warriors had to die. Despite the terrifying and threatening words, the young man fought the enemies without fear. Saint Alicia pleaded for mercy from the demons. She knelt and prayed without stopping. The young man continued to fight fearlessly, jumping and throwing himself into the mouth of a giant snake monster. Even though the reptile's fangs were deadly, he was ready to deliver a powerful blow. The demon was isolated and defeated. He apologized to the demon god for not being able to take the bow and defeat his opponent. The young man waved and said goodbye. For him, this wasn't even an episode in his life. The system reported that the level had risen. The person said he was tired of all this. The system reported that 10,000 achievement points had been earned. The system reported that as a special reward, a letter with random abilities had been received. The young man wondered why the demons had issues with timing. Why did they appear when the exam was over? Saint Alicia couldn't help but say that her partner did a great job. The young people completed the task, and the long-awaited bow appeared before them. The young man said that this bow seemed too simple for an ancient weapon. The girl decided that there was an exit from the labyrinth waiting for them. The young people thought that the entrance to the labyrinth was at the top. They both looked up, ascended, and exited the labyrinth. The girl took a deep breath, relieved to complete the mission finally. Saint Alicia and the warrior from another world did a great job. The knight added that thanks to these people, the Empire's task of securing the bow would be easier to accomplish. The knight added that the power of the bow should be in the hands of the Empire, more precisely in his hands. Alicia said that this was the first principle of the Empire. Drago said that the young man should hand over the bow to him and they would spare his life. Alicia replied that they couldn't do that. The power of the bow had to be used to protect the world from demons. Drago said that he did not need to worry. Once he gathered all the fragments, the demons would bow to his will. The Hero King prepared his defense and stated that the quest object had come into his possession. Drago replied that the youth did not understand the meaning of his words. He ordered the glorious knights to attack. Drago said it was time to show loyalty and bravery. The first prince of the Empire, Drago, and his loyal guard, the Black Guardian, came to seize the power of the bow. The youth, sword in hand, was ready to fight all opponents at once. He was not afraid of the number of enemies. Saint Alicia gave the hero a holy booster. The system also reported that a holy armor buff had been granted. The system reported that an enhancement had been given, a magical enhancement and a precious area, and our hero was no longer afraid of anything with that achievement, ready to defeat anyone in battle. After a long battle, it became clear that the battle could not be won with just a Hero King. Drago's advisor recommended that the troops retreat. Prince Drago began to utilize the power of the bow. The youth sensed something approaching. The youth told the saint that the enemy had begun using the bow. The youths moved the ice shield in front of them and stood without fear. Their enemy's advance had to be delayed a little longer. Something extraordinary happened. Prince Drago began to change form and grow large, turning into a giant monster. The subordinates asked how His Majesty felt. The knights cheered joyfully. Their prince had turned into a demon monster. It would now be easier for him to fight. Kang Yusung told the saint to renew the buff. The ice defense was activated. The youth donned the armor, which increased his survivability. The youth decided to use the earthquake and fire potion. The youth, clad in ice armor, fought fearlessly against the monster prince. The youth was more energetic and delivered stronger blows. The demon shouted, did his opponent really believe he wouldn't catch him if he kept hiding in the fire? The Hero King wondered if the power had made his opponent so drunk that he couldn't see anything. The youth leaped very high and swung his sword, ready to deliver a powerful blow to his opponent's back. Kang Yusung pierced the monster with his weapon. The monster roared loudly and raised its hands. The youth repeated the movement several times to completely drain and confuse his opponent. Finally, the giant monster was disabled, no longer a threat. The beast cried out in agony as blood spilled from its mouth. It was the suffering of death. Kang Yusung sheathed his sword and, feeling accomplished, decided to rest for a moment. The system reported that the mission object had been received, a fragment of the bow. As usual, our hero successfully achieved his goal. The youth stood atop the defeated monster. A strong beam of light rose from above him. The youth thought it was like a scene from a mobile game. The system reported that the player's level had increased. The youth held the coveted bow received as a reward. The youth thought it was the perfect ending to complete the level. The system reported that the next level had been reached and he could enter the Tower of Resurrection. The protagonist approached his companion, Saint Alicia, and said that the monster was finished. The youth offered the reward received after completing the level to the girl. The girl was surprised and asked again if the youth really wanted her to take the bow. Kang Yusung said that the bow should rightfully belong to Saint Alicia. The girl replied that she was not capable enough to control such power. The Hero King asked if she really wanted to give this bow to the Drago Empire. Wasn't that what they were fighting against? Kang Yusung placed the bow in Saint Alicia's palm and said, better to use it yourself than to give it to those who know nothing. The girl stated that she couldn't be on par with the dangerous power of the bow. The young man responded that from experience, he could say that a madman driven by the power of the bow would destroy the world. The burden of responsibility made this madman do such things, but a saint would fight, that was his hope, and the bow would surely help. The girl thanked her companion and hugged the treasure tightly to her chest, saying that his words made her feel much better. Kang Yusung said he was glad to hear Saint Alicia speak such kind words. They looked into each other's eyes in silence. The system reported that the hero had successfully passed the Tower of Sword and Magic after obtaining the bow. Saint Alicia had stopped the demon invasion and maintained peace on the continent. Kang Yusung was lying on his bed at home, looking at his phone. A full week had passed and he had only cleared one tower. He thought this would be a good break, but he was too lulled. The young man tried to put his phone down, at least for a while. It was only mid-January, there were more important things to do. A few days passed, nothing really changed in the young man's life outside the house. He also tried to hide from the curious reporters and photographers. The Hero King looked around and saw a group of reporters following him. People shouted, asking Mr. Kang Yusung to at least give their magazine one chance and answer some questions. The young man ignored the reporters' calls and hid in another tower. The reporters soon reported that the Hero King had entered a tower, but there was no information about this tower. One female reporter suggested that perhaps this was the Tower of Resurrection. Everyone was scared and excited. The system reported to the young man waiting for the versatile and talented opponent. The young man said this time he could ignore the poetic introduction and that he was ready to go straight to the test. The system reported that this time the young man was very impatient. Around the young man were mirrors showing his opponent in various poses. The evil opponent said he was ready to start the test and the protagonist needed to be very careful. The opponent was starting now.